Hello everyone and welcome to another vocal analysis and reaction of one of the videos and songs performed by the amazing artist Dimash. It's once again a song that's been recommended by one of you awesome people in the comments of one of my previous videos. This time I wanted to actually split the video in two parts because it's actually a performance of two songs. I know they're performed together, but since my videos usually tend to be long, I wanted to consider them one by one so that we have the time to say all the things that I want to say about them without actually becoming boring. The performance I want to talk about in these two videos is Confessa and Diva Dance. I mainly started looking at the performance of Diva Dance, at different performances by Dimash of this song over time, and I saw that he also performed Confessa, which is an Italian song. I'm Italian, so I was like, yes, I can talk about two things that I love very much, Italian music and Diva Dance, which is, considered one of the most difficult songs in the high range to perform ever. So here we are. I will start from Diva Dance actually, and then take a few steps back, talk about Confessa, because in the original Diva Dance song from the Fifth Element, it's slightly different. Before we start, a few words about me. My name is Psamathes. I'm a singer for video game music and soundtracks, trailer music, libraries for composers and other production artists. I also write music on my own as an independent artist, and I have professional training and experience in many different styles, from classical training to modern music in many genres to folk music in different styles. So my experience in this kind of versatile approach to vocals brought me to know about Dimash, and of course I was immediately amazed by his skills. So I really want to talk about this from my own experience as well, and let you know how some things can also be useful for singers who don't necessarily use all these different styles. We can always learn from performances of voices who can be even very different from our own. So this is also my goal when doing these vocal analysis videos. Let's say that Confessa will be a bonus from this little two-part video that I'm doing. Diva Dance is included in the Fifth Element movie, which some of you may know, some others may just know the song because it's popular on the internet. Originally, when the performance shows up in the movie, the Diva Dance part of the song starts after an actual opera aria performed by an actual soprano singer. She was approached during the production of the film to do this movie. She sang the beautiful aria part, and after that aria part you see the very weird and surprising switch to this kind of electronic Diva Dance part of the song. So it's very beautiful. If you haven't watched the scene in the movie and the way the actress also performs it in the movie, I strongly advice that you do. It's very beautiful to watch as well. Even though the Diva Dance song has been described as impossible to sing, in the end we've actually seen many professional singers sing it, and actually very successfully, Dimash included. I like that he actually, in this Confessa and Diva Dance joint performance, tried to achieve kind of the same surprising effect by first doing this kind of very emotional ballad. It's kind of a different way of honoring the original setup of the Diva Dance song in the movie. is very this song is very packed, so it's very difficult to find somewhere to stop at. You would just like to watch it all the way to the end, and I highly advise that you do go to the original video, watch it and enjoy the full performance without the analysis in between. This of course I have to take bits and analyze them little by little, because this is the method that we use as we would if I was in the training room singing and studying and practicing. We singers and singing teachers usually sit down and take line by line, sometimes even note by note, and spend some time on that. So this is why sometimes you might see me stop even with a little bit of music and spend some time there. This is what professional singers do to have a very deep understanding of the music. So I love that in this case it's I mean, it's a bit difficult to see because I have a very small frame here, but there is a live band, so it's not the usual electronic slash EDM background music that you usually hear in the Diva Dance performances from other artists, and even in his other performances. The drums, the slightly rock guitar element coming in also gives us this very strong energy, the same way that the electronic beats would. So it's very cool actually. We've seen Dimash very often use his operatic vocals, and this is where he can just go all out on them, because it's basically written, as I was saying earlier, for a soprano singer that actually does opera full time. So, and of course in the original there's a lot of effects trying to make it sound alien, because it's actually sung by an alien, but it doesn't mean that there isn't like a human part doing the foundation of the song, which means that a human voice can do that and, you know, adapt the heavily edited stuff from the original to our own, which we will see here, of course. A few things of note. Pun intended. It's very important to not only focus on the very high notes, because when you're singing in a song that on the average is all in the high range, the slightly lower notes, which are still quite high here anyway, are very important to prepare yourself for the high notes. You have to almost concentrate as even more on the slightly lower notes, so even maybe on the starting notes. These few notes here maybe are even more important than the higher notes, because they are the setup for your entire vocal engine to then reach the high notes correctly. And also one thing that you must not forget in songs like this is the artistry. So once again, I'm just gonna focus on this first note here. You know, you're not just doing the three notes as they are. There is a bit of like a transition between the second to last note and the last note. It's gliding. It's called glissando in Italian. So it's slightly rising towards that note in this kind of beautiful way, so that it doesn't become annoying when it's just like this kind of technical exercise. And one thing that I loved especially here, and this is where he can really shine with his range, is right before we stopped, when he was doing this very high note. I don't remember if the highest note here is around G6, F should be either F sharp 6 or G6 something. It's usually this is the range for coloratura sopranos. Mostly coloratura sopranos have this very high range around those notes. There's many roles in opera written around those roles. You can think about the Queen of the Night is probably, but there's roles that go even higher. What I mean with all of this is all of the notes that you are hearing right now are being sung in an operatic voice, because as I was saying, this is written very operatically. You can notice the vibrato, the intensity switching up. There is no breathiness as you would find in a whistle register, using the intensity to make some notes slightly stronger or sound more powerful, and then the short and fast notes like little dots up there on the very top high notes. Here he does this beautiful basically mic drop with his vocals, where he just goes, okay, I'm going very high, this very beautiful clear voice, and then actually you guys should not forget that I can just go all the way down and be like this, very strong. And opera singers also learn to use their chest voice, but I would actually I'm pretty sure that he does that one octave below what is originally written in the song. That is what I just wanted to say. This is like a big flex, but it sounds so awesome, and is also, I think, beautiful and useful of him to do, to relax everything here, because that is quite like a short pause that he gets to be like, okay, I've been all the way up there for this very intense first part. Now let me go in the lower range for a little bit and relax my voice for a second before I go all the way up there and do this entire vocal workout that's coming next. I will do something that I've never done before. I'll go to the piano. So far, I think the highest we've been is around E flat 6. I think especially here, as we're progressing, you can more and more notice that it's not whistle voice, that there is substance in the voice as he goes up and down, even in the short fast notes. And I love that he has adapted some of the parts in some of the high note. Ha, 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 ha. You can hear in that bit, which I love how he adapted it. He's not even dividing and making a strong distinction between each note. There's a technical term for this in music theory. He is dividing the notes, but not entirely. This means that inside it's easier to keep that straight line that I always talk about, because you're not creating that obstacle, basically, of making the strong distinction between each note, so it's kind of a middle ground between doing a straight note and doing an entirely line of divided notes, a staccato section, basically. This is very beautiful. I don't know if I've seen other singers doing the Diva Dance actually do this kind of thing here, because, as I was saying, this is something you will find in opera mostly. For example, there's a lot of this in Verdi, which is also kind of a nightmare in a way, because on the other hand, you need to have a lot of breath to keep it going. But yeah, very beautiful. And I also love how he actually takes the time to go bigger on the slightly lower and longer notes. This is because it takes the time to open up the resonating space inside of the mouth. It's very beautiful to create dynamics, and also for him to focus on his vocal setup. Oh wow. Okay, that was actually fun. It was like, okay, I'm done. my gosh. So very intense last bit. I love the variation at the end where he actually went higher with the last note. He could have stopped at the high note, but he went even higher because, you know, once you're done with the high staccato parts, who cares? You can do everything else. And once again, he's adding his own variations to it, which is beautiful. As I was saying before, opera singers will do when working on an aria on their solo. I love the slide up all the way from the up to the skies. It's great for him to show the different not just ranges he has from all the way to the bottom up to the top, but also the very different sounds, because as we've heard earlier where he dropped lower than the original, this lets him show a different voice color than the original, and in this case as well, in the original there's voice editing done here to make it sound a bit you know, alien, and he can make it sound surprising and ear-catching by simply using the different voice color generated by simply going through his range. I love this part because even though it's not as incredibly high as the notes he's done before, it's still very difficult in terms of the agility he's doing. There's some tricky notes and some tricky note jumps that are both written in the original, once again to achieve that kind of alien effect, and also adapted by him to go around some of the artifacts done by the mixing of the voice in the original. Nothing that a good amount of study cannot achieve, and here Dimash is absolutely spot on with everything. I would say this is absolutely one of the useful things that we can learn from him and from this performance, regardless of our level as singers, as people who simply like to sing. Even in front of a difficult section, we can adapt it, and we can, for example, we have this group of notes here that might be more difficult to get on pitch correctly. I think that is the difficulty of this last staccato part here. What usually we do as professional singers is simply take those bits, divide them even in groups of 2 or 3 notes instead of the entire thing, repeat them bit by bit, slower, then implement longer pieces of the agility part until we have the entire thing. This performance is not just an example of Dimash being incredibly you know, awesome and having an incredible voice in general. It also shows in you know, spots like that one, or simply just across the song, how Dimash and other professional singers like him actually do the homework, whether it is for this song or across their experience and studies over time, to then be able to perform these songs. So that was it for the Diva Dance part of this performance, and stay tuned because I definitely want to look at Confessa. It's going to be quite different, of course. It's an entirely different song and atmosphere. Thank you once again for staying with me so far and for all your support so far on these videos. It's been really fun to make them, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.